The movie begins with a Bible quote stating that we are all God's children. We must be afraid of him. Following that, we see a girl conversing with a boy when she was little, and her mother instructs her to adore God. She worshipped as a result of this. However, after an incident in which her parents separated, she was left alone. Despite the fact that she worshipped God, God has left her. She had stopped believing in God since that day. She once read somewhere that when God sees that his followers on earth are decreasing, he becomes enraged. God says he'll bring the day when he'll destroy the earth. This is where the scene ends. In the next scene, we see Michael, an angel who has fallen from the sky to the earth. He was wounded and is disappointed to be back on earth. He later cuts his wings with a knife and appears to like people. He also purchases clothes from a store and then purchases guns from an ammunition store, which he places in a bag. Michael claims that these weapons will be useful in fighting with people who will be revealed later. In the next scene, we see two police officers talking to each other about how God has created poor people useless. Only the world would be wonderful if God had created the wealthy, because the world is ruined by poor people. In the meantime, they notice Michael leaving the store. Both of them point their rifles at him and question him. Michael urges them to release him. One of the officers was going to shoot the gun when Michael grabbed him and pointed him in the direction of the gun. Meanwhile, the radio announces that people are dying all throughout the city. Later on, the police officer begins to act weirdly and eventually relaxes. He appeared to be under the control of or possessed by someone. Now he asks Michael to follow God. Michael responds that he will no longer accompany God. According to the police officer, if you are stubborn, you will be killed like humans. He kills another police officer by saying this. Michael then fires the revolver at him. Jeep, a young child, is shown sleeping in the next scene. He wakes up and sits there because he had a nightmare. Later, he goes for a walk when he meets Charlie, a girl. She was walking there since she was having a nightmare as well. We observe that Charlie is pregnant, and she tells Jeep that the baby will be born in a few months. But she is unable to care for him. However, Jeep calms her and assures her that they will all look after him together. Her husband had deceived her, and she was forced to live in her small restaurant with the Jeep and his family. We noticed Jeep's father cooking food for someone at the restaurant the next morning. Charlie, on the other hand, was smoking outside the restaurant. Later, a man named Kyle approaches her and shows her a map to inquire about the location. Carly responds that the place is too far away and that reaching there will take 2 or 3 days. Kyle later asks Charlie for their cell phone so that he can call the person who lives there, and he might be able to tell him more about the location. Instead of denying that she has the phone, she informs him that there is a phone available in the restaurant. Kyle then prevents Charlie from smoking while she is pregnant. Meanwhile, Jeep enters and asks Charlie about this individual. She informs him that he must make a phone call. Jeep takes them inside and hands him the phone, which he uses to make a call. He then goes outside and sees a horrible storm approaching them. He walks inside after watching and informs everyone. In the meantime, the TV and phone connections are disconnected. Jeep's father later warns everyone to leave the restaurant. In the same restaurant, the old lady inquiries from Charlie about her order. Everyone looks at her in wonder after that because there was a horrible storm outside and she is concerned about her food. The old woman makes fun of Charlie's name, claiming that it is the male's name. Instead of becoming enraged, Charlie walks away. Following that, a married couple inquires about their city from the lady. She responds that we would all die and no one would live. Charlie takes his order and she looks mercilessly at her child, declaring that the child would die before birth. The married couple quarrel, but Charlie survives by claiming that she is used to these remarks on a daily basis. Meanwhile, the lady takes a stand and bites the man's neck. Later, she ruins everything and everyone tries to calm her down, but no one is able to do so. With her supernatural abilities, she was able to climb up walls. They are all afraid as they watch this. Kyle uses her gun to shoot her, and she dies instantly. Everyone rushed to get the injured man to the hospital, but the car was filled with flies. As a result, he was unable to reach the hospital and died as a result of heavy bleeding. Michael arrives in a police car after a while. Jeep Kyle and his father, who is watching him, raise a rifle at him and demand that he display his teeth. Michael displays his razor-sharp teeth, which were as sharp as the old lady's. They assure him that they are no danger with Michael, yet they nonetheless beg him to go. Michael warns them that this is only the beginning and that many more individuals just like them will come. They'll have to face it together. Later, Michael gives each of them a gun and instructs them about the battle. They seal the restaurant's doors and hide the women. They climb to the roof, where an enchanted ice cream vendor appears. He attacks them with his long hands and feet. However, they all shoot firearms at him. Later on, enchanted individuals approach them. They begin to assassinate them one by one. In the meantime, the girl kidnaps the girl whose husband has recently died. Michael, on the other hand, saves her by reaching there. Michael now claims that he has come to save Charlie's child. Later, he discloses his true identity, revealing that he was recently among these angels. But by defying God's commandments, I've taken on the task of saving this child. As a result, Michael has turned into a human being. He goes on to say that this child will save the planet in the future. The Jeep, on the other hand, inquires as to what responsibilities he has assumed for God. He responds by stating that he was a member of the army of God's believers. When his army went into battle, it never returned back empty-handed. Following this, the film shifts to the past, when we see Michael in his angel role. He's chatting to his brother Gabriel in defiance of God's commandments. Gabriel warns him to reconsider because if he refuses to obey God's commands, he would be slaughtered like humans. Later, we see a large number of souls approaching Earth, and Michael pursues them. Kyle notices a little boy who is being pursued by various spirits. He goes on to say that this kid will save the planet in the future. The Jeep, on the other hand, inquires as to what responsibilities he has assumed for God. Michael lost control and leaped to the ground to save the child. As he approaches the child, he finds that he, too, is enchanted. Michael sets out to save Kyle, but the spirits have already claimed his life. The child has now entered the room and is following Charlie. With a knife in his hand, the boy attempts to murder Charlie, but Jeep shoots him with his revolver. When Charlie begins to have labor pains, Michael enters and informs her that the child wants to be born. Later, we learn that Charlie has given birth to a child, and as a result, Michael is overjoyed. Michael claims that God has sent this child to be killed, but I was able to deliver him from the grips of the devils. When the girl's husband dies, she becomes insane and takes the child outside. Jeep shoots her and saves the child. A bright light appears later, and we notice Gabriel. Gabriel kills Jeep's father and moves closer to the child. But Michael comes to a halt and requests that Jeep and Charlie take the child. Jeep follows him. Meanwhile, a terrible fight breaks out between Michael and Gabriel, and Michael is killed. Jeep's father, who was still living at the time, set fire to the lighter, causing the entire restaurant to burn down. Gabriel is also caught up in the explosion, but he manages to save himself from the devastation. He pursues Jeep and flips his car. In the meantime, Michael appears, and we recognize him as an angel. He straightens Jeep's car and saves the passengers. Gabriel becomes happy as he sees Michael living, but he must also obey God's orders. Gabriel attacks him once more, but Michael defeats him this time. Michael gives one last look at the child before flying into the sky. Later, we see Jeep, Charlie, and the child continuing their journey with the guns Michael has given them. The film then comes to a close. When it comes to this film, it is stated that humans have dismissed their belief in God. As a result, God instructs his angels to kill mankind from the planet. On this occasion, an angel named Michael rejects God's commands. He wants to preserve Charlie's child because he knows that if the child survives, he would be able to save humanity by rescuing humans from angels. This is the end of film. Please consider like and subscribe.